Hello, welcome to VJ Talks Interlude. While VJ Talks Season 3 is on the horizon, it's not quite ready yet. So in the meantime, I've got a few episodes I'll be putting out between now and the return of Season 3 in Q1 of 2025. So enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to VJ Talks. We are talking about Baldur's Gate today. This is one of many Baldur's Gate episodes, probably. Who's surprised at that? But today on this episode, I have an amazing guest with me. Somebody that was a playtester. Paid playtester, mind you, for this game. Nick, if you would like to introduce yourselves and tell our listeners what you do, who you are, where they can find you, anything and everything, go.
Hello there, I'm Nick, and I am here now with Vic for a talk. You can find me, I'm basically a freelance writer that just do random stuff that I stumble upon from here and there, and that was how I stumbled upon the playtest job. You can find me on all social media as NickSnat1 with the number 1, and also on Twitch under the same name, where I occasionally stream the games that I run for a Malaysian-based D&D community server called Nightshade Tavern, where we sort of like run games for new players and make it as accessible for them as possible. And I sometimes stream those games up on my channel, so feel free to watch whenever if you're ever in the correct time zones, I guess.
Time zones, they're a rotten bastard. Actually, right now, it's 10:06 p.m. where I am, and it's 10:06 a.m. where you are, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep, we are 12-hour time difference at this point. But thank you so much for introducing yourself. Now, Nick, to really get into it,
Yeah.
what are you not allowed to tell us on the stream, on this talk? Like, what are you not?
I am basic. Sorry.
No, go
So
ahead.
I'm basically not allowed to say anything that is not in the game currently. So anything like behind the scenes, like quest stuff that have changed from its current form, I'm not allowed to mention those kind of stuff. So anything that is already in the game, I can say.
Okay, but so is that you saying there are things that have changed then? Wink, 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 wink. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, I think this I can just say, like, I mean, every game out there probably will have stuff that changed from its original form at some point or another. So yeah, there's quite a lot that are different from its original.
Okay. I won't press anymore. I don't know how like close Larian Studios is towards the coast or how similar they are to business practices. I don't want them to send like the international version of the Pinkertons to your door because you're telling me secrets. So we'll
Yeah, let's hope not.
we'll let that go and we'll move away from that for the time being. But okay, so Nick, how'd you get the okay?
Yeah.
What exactly happened with you getting the playtesting job? Like you just stumbled on a job posting somewhere like on it. Like what is that like?
Oh, it was actually from a friend of mine. So I studied at this college called the One Academy back in Malaysia. Back in Malaysia, I am in Malaysia. In Malaysia, there is a college, an art college called the One Academy, and I studied there for 3 years before I went to the UK. And one of the lecturers from the One Academy reached out to one of my course mate, who then reached out to me about it. And then so she asked me to apply the job, and then I did. I was asked to conduct an interview. After the interview, they sent me an email saying that I got the job, and eventually, this was back in March, and yeah, so that's how I ended up as a playtester back in March. And then after that, one of the supervisors asked me if I wanted to stay on to become the playtest coordinator. Basically, I'm the one who oversees the playtesters, and so I did that for 2 months. And then after that, they asked me to become the temp QA coordinator for the next 3 months, I'm doing it this month as well. So I oversee the temp QAs as well for the duration of this gig.
Okay. So much to dive into. Okay, so first off, what so you went from regular old degular playtester to in charge of all the playtesters to whatever the hell you're doing in this current position, which I'm gonna ask you to elaborate on when we get to that point. So well, talk to me about like the differences between the three. Like what is the like job responsibilities, the vibes, like what's going on with that?
So as a playtester, I'm just over there. My job is to play the game as a player, and then write down what I think about the game. You know, things like quest flow, game mechanics, basically the front-facing experience of what a customer would get when they play the game. So they want to know about that. So like, are the tutorials clear enough? Are the quests understandable? Did anything break? Is anything confusing? Are the puzzles easy enough to understand? Those kind of stuff.
So, were you just playtesting the beta at that point, or did you have like full-fledged access to the entire game playtesting? Because I've never.
Yeah.
Go ahead. The whole.
Yeah, it's the whole game.
You've just been sitting on this knowledge this whole time, haven't you? Not being able to tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
Gentle listeners, Nick and I have been playing TTRPGs together for 3 years, 4 years,
Around there now.
somewhere around there. And when I tell you that I wasn't even getting any insider scoops about NDA stuff, I'm just sitting over here like, God damn, Nick, you couldn't tell me anything. I'm just kidding. And okay, so then next you went over to like the playtest coordinator. So like, do playtest coordinators still playtest? Is it just you overseeing people? Like tell me what was going on with that.
So back when I was playtesting in March, usually there will be 1 or 2 members of the QA team sitting in with us, and they will be watching us on their screens as we play and recording down anything like maybe like bugs or things that we don't understand. Basically our reaction to the game. Like let's say if one of us got frustrated with a puzzle, they will write it down into their notes and stuff like that. And any comments or like things that we say, they will also write down and to compile into a list. So during April time, I was put into that role of just overseeing the playtester so that the QA members can go do their own thing.
And okay, so so you aren't like playtesting this at your home. You have to go to a physical location for people to watch you as you're doing stuff. Okay, because I don't know. I guess at most I was thinking like I don't know if the UK does, or maybe like I was thinking it was like at the very least you're at home playing it and then you're just kind of like writing down answers and sending them in, and at the most like you have some software on your computer where they can watch you play so that you're still at home. But you're just like you were just in a whole ass fucking like office actually doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you, as the playtest coordinator, you took over what the QAs were doing at that point. Any like... Actually, before we get into that, okay, so what does a QA do? Which is what you are also doing now, right?
Yeah. Temp QA coordinator. So what QA do? They are basically the ones who read all of the bugs that people send in, and then they're the ones who then send it out to the various other departments. They're basically the ones, like, let's say they receive... So the flow for me as a temp QA coordinator is that there are the other temp QAs. They're basically, again, like me, just sort of like hired on a temp basis. And so the temp QAs will be the ones to play the game and note down all of the bugs that they stumble upon. They will then send it to me. I will then attempt to troubleshoot, not really troubleshoot, I am the one who will then open the game on my end and test these bugs to see if they are reproducible or not, and get as much detail as possible to make sure all the info is on it, and then I send it to my supervisor. So I'm basically the filter for the temp QA's bug notes that they stumble upon.
Okay, and so then what happens if you can't reproduce a bug that they've just talked about?
Oh, if I can't, then that will just depend whether on this non-reproducible bug, is it actually a bug, or if it is just like one of those super hard to reproduce, then I mean I will still send it to my supervisor regardless, but it's usually my job is just basically, is this actually a bug, a valid bug or not?
Gotcha. How often do you get like not valid bugs and it's just like I don't know. I don't know.
I would say like 10% of the time, because there are quite a number of bugs that you can stumble upon in games like this where it is just not reproducible at all, and only one person doing this particular set of things at this specific location interacting with this specific NPC that causes it. And sometimes even though they give you that detailed steps to reproduce that, you do it and then you don't get it and you're just like, what the hell is going on here? Yep, there's a lot of that.
how long were you like just a regular playtester? Like, how many hours of the game did you playtest while just a playtester?
I play tested. So it's a basically, think of it as a 9 to 5 job that is a temp work. So Monday to Friday, I go into the office, I play the game, I go home.
Outside of playtesting, you are also just a giant fucking nerd like me as well. And I know that you have spent like more than a 9 to 5 playing video games before in a day.
Yeah.
Like I've seen you up at all hours of the night and day. And so this was a you're essentially doing the same behavior here, but you're getting paid, and like, it's kind of like you have to go into work. So what do you feel like the difference was between the two of those? Between just like Nick casually like doing a 9 to 5 with video games, if not more, and then doing this as well. Like I'm assuming you like enjoyed your time playing it and all that good stuff, but like, did the vibes feel different? Did like it change like your like how you usually go about like your 9 to 5 or more gaming time? Like what was going on with that?
Honestly, I think it is honestly mostly the same. I think because you know me, I like to immerse myself in video games whenever I play, especially an RPG like Baldur's Gate 3. You know, like I think I mentioned before, you know, when we were just chatting casually about the game, I mentioned that it is basically Dragon Age Origins, but with Inquisition graphics. And it has that choice, you know, so I was playing really... So the difficult part for me is that sometimes when I get a bit too into the game, I forgot to make my notes. You know, just keep writing it down. I was like, shit, I'm behind now. And then, so, yeah. That is probably the only different things that... The things that I think to myself while I play the game, I actually had to write it down, especially if there are things that affect, like, maybe I'm at a point like, why did this quest line ended up this way? So then I can just make a note, and then it's up to the QA team to sort of, like, decide whether is it just the normal, this is how the player's supposed to feel at this quest at this point in the game, or something there, the flow is sort of not understandable during this part of the game.
So there are a number of you all playtesting, and did you like play the game like 100% to completion, like start to finish and everything as much as you could, like the straight storyline, like all the side quests, like what rate of completion did you do? Do you know that your other playtesters do? Like how much of it do you have to get to be like, yeah, this is good to go? Were you assigned specific things like, hey, go all the way through the main story, right, and then of course do this side thing, or like what was going on with that?
Okay. So for me, I'm not sure about the other batches that did it, but for me specifically, basically all the playtesters batches were supposed to play the game from beginning to end, as a normal player would. And some of them are allowed to just play through the game in whatever way they want. But for me, personally, when I joined that batch, I was tasked with playing through Dark Urge and see how that story flow.
I keep hearing Dark Urge, but I don't know what the storyline is. Actually, go ahead and... I'm playing right now, so on the one hand, I'm like, go ahead and spoil it, and I'll just put like, hey, there's spoilers for the game in here. But on the other hand, you know what? Go ahead and spoil it. Hey, y'all, spoilers. We're talking about the game, so go like, or can you give me what is Dark Urge? If you're gonna tell me what it is without like going into too much like super spoilery details, what is that storyline exactly?
Okay. All right. I will. Well, there are two layers to it. First, I will talk about what Dark Urge is meant to encapsulate outside of game, and they are basically the murder hobo character. That is basically what they're meant to represent. They are the ones who you go talk to an NPC, you instantly hover to the attack option. That is basically, they are the ones who will enable you in that murderous run. Within the story, they are a character who, at the start of the game, you know, you come off from a pod, right? You lose your memories. The only thing your character remembers is their name and this urge they have inside them, this urge to kill, to draw blood. And so Dark Urge is unlike, so in the game there's the customs, which is basically you create your own character, your race, your classes, all those stuff. And then there are the origins, which are the companions, you know, like Asterion, Shadowheart, Lae'zel, those kind of stuff. They have their own thing going on. Dark Urge is something like the origin characters, but they are the only origin where you can customize them. You can choose your gender, race, classes, and all those kind of stuff. But with the understanding that you're basically a custom character choosing a predetermined narrative arc for your playthrough. And that playthrough is your urge, trying to figure out what it is and whether you choose to resist it or give into it.
Okay, and so this is obviously something you have to opt into. So me, who just went into the game and was like, okay, half work, cool. Here's my Dietrich core. If I didn't like realize I was playing a Dark Urge, I probably didn't like get myself into a Dark Urge game. Correct?
Yeah. So like for the origins and for Dark Urge, and during character creation, you get like this play introduction button at the bottom. You can just press it, and your character will give a monologue about what you're signing up for when you pick that character.
So you had to play the game from start to finish. Does that include all of the side quests as well, or it's just like main storyline?
They didn't really specify it for us. They basically said if you stumble upon this side quest and you would do it as a player at home, then just do it. If not, then you can just proceed. But for me, being the completionist I am, I try to do every single thing that I stumble upon. So yeah.
Did you do every single thing that you stumbled upon? Did you get through it like that?
I think I did, but at that time back in March, there were a couple of quests that weren't completed yet. So, like some of them, like the quest is implemented, but the sort of like either the second half is not there or stuff like that. So, which was a bit sad, but understandable. This was still back in March, and there were a couple of big side quests in the later portion of the game in Act 3 where I had to skip because we were running out of time. It was the end of the month, and they want us to at least finish the playthrough. So near the end, I had to skip a couple of them in order to jump straight to the end game.
Getting into like the actual like content here as a playtester, what was your favorite part about playing it?
Okay, honestly, the very first thing is the side quest. Honestly, the side quest is what I like the most about the game. See, a lot of like the RPG games that have been released like the past few years, they do exist. Some side quests are cool, but most of them ended up being like superficial and like just go to this area, collect 10 objects, and then you complete. It's like in Dragon Age Inquisition, how many of those side quests is just you going around collecting random stuff that has no bearings on the plot. No, you don't get to you don't interact with like interesting NPCs, get like interesting story stuff. Yeah, but in Baldur's Gate 3, a lot of the side quests are like the ones from Dragon Age Origins, where they have their own cast of characters, their own little story, and some of them actually eventually influence what happens later on in the game as well, in like very small, minute ways, but it's there so it feels like your actions matters. Like the people that you encounter in Act 1, depending on what you do, might even show up in Act 2 or 3, and what capacity they show up depends on what you do with them. Yeah. That is my favorite part of the game, the side quests, I will say.
Okay, but what is your favorite side quest of the side quests?
Side quests. Like, I got to think about this because there are quite a number of them that I like.
Okay, give me your top 3. It doesn't have to be the like 1, 2, 3. Just the 3 that you liked best.
I will say one of my favorite quests to do would be the Auntie Ethel quest. I don't know if you've stumbled upon her. You played the game, right?
I have, Nick, listen to me. I have played the game. I'm still around like the starting area, like the things that I have done so far. Mm-hmm. I fought some intellect devourers when we got off the ship. I looted all the corpses and junk around me. I went into that like ancient door that had that fuck off trap that fucked my shit up. I went into the bandits' quarters at this point. I fought some goblins over by the druid door, I do believe, and I found Lae'zel. That's like the full extent of what I've done so far.
All right. So Auntie Ethel is someone that you can stumble upon later on in the game, in the same in Act 1, and she's basically a hag in disguise. Yes, but don't let me influence when you meet her. So she will put on a face.
Here's the thing, Auntie Ethel, that is a hag name if you ever had one. So first off, I'm like because I'm planning on streaming like my whole playthrough of this because I'm playing it like to talk about the racism in it, which I'm gonna ask you questions about. Which feel free to say you don't want to answer because I know that could be a bit controversial, and you are currently working for them, so feel free to not like weigh in on that if you don't want to. I'm gonna be like, hey, this got spoiled for me, but also Auntie Ethel is the biggest not mind flayer, fuck me, is the biggest hag name you could fucking come up with. Are you kidding me? If I saw that name, if I was a player and a DM was like, hey, this is Auntie Ethel, my spidey senses would be tingling. Please continue.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So Auntie Ethel in Act 1, she basically there is this girl named Marina who she's pregnant and her husband is dead, and so she, in her desperation and despair, she went to Ethel in order to try to make a deal in order to bring her husband back to life, and so that deal eventually. So she basically.
Wait a second. Before you tell me what the deal is, I want to guess real quick. Is this like a steal your baby situation, or a like, you know, Game of Thrones, Khal Drogo and Dany situation where it's like, oh, you trade your life, your baby's life for your partner's life, and it still goes horribly fucking wrong?
I would say a bit of both. So what in Act 1 we won't know yet, but what Auntie Ethel wants in Act 1 that we as a player knows is that she wants Marina's baby. And so when she made the deal, Auntie Ethel just basically trapped Marina in the house and sort of like, you know, keep force feeding her food to make sure your baby needs to be healthy when it is born, that kind of deal. And so during this quest, you can choose to, you know, obviously kill Ethel and free Marina, or you can be a dick and just say, haha, you can have Marina, give me powers, that kind of deal. That is like the super evil run. And so after that, you deal with that. Eventually in Act 3, you will encounter Ethel and Marina again. Of course, Marina won't be there if you know, give her to the hag, obviously, but if Marina survives, she would be the leader of a hag survivor support group. And so basically anyone who's been tricked by hags, yeah.
That is so fucking funny. I mean, but that is so good. That would totally, I mean, okay, I really gotta say that outside of the racism bits, I am enjoying the parts of the game. It's like, it's making my little like DM brain go, ooh, especially like when we're like talking to Lae'zel and we're learning all of these like new words that the Gith use, or at least the Gith Yankee. Who knows if Gith Sarai also use it. And it's just like, oh yeah, brainworms, D&D ideas, like it's great. But a support group for people that were like victims of, oh god, yep, okay, please continue.
Okay, yeah, so eventually, once you go through that quest from Marina, she will tell you of a way, she will eventually, okay, you know, let me say that from, in chronological order. So in Act 3, that is when you learn what Ethel wanted to do. She basically wants the baby in order to eat the baby, and then gestate the baby inside her stomach in order to give birth to a new hag. That was what she wanted to do with Marina's baby, but if you prevented her from doing that, she will kidnap a new kid in Act 3 in order to do this. But that's the point where if you kill... So Ethel would be like, if you kill me, the baby dies with me too, so you gotta let me live, that kind of deal. And so, but if you still brute force it, like I ended up doing, and you kill Ethel, and you figure out how to get rid of her immortality, because she comes back. That is Ethel's thing. She always comes back when you kill her, and you don't know why until in Act 3. Basically, you gotta.
Hey, don't tell me that. Don't tell me how. That I will figure out. But continue.
Okay. Yes, but if you kill Ethel just like that, you figure out how to kill her permanently. She will disgorge the baby, the child that she ate, as a pile of organs, and I was traumatized. But you can figure out a way. So Marina is part of that. If you go to her, there are a few ways you can learn about this. You figure it out. You can figure out a way to make her vomit out the child intact, without her being a pile of organs. Yes.
Okay, here's a question. Like graphically a pile of organs?
Yeah, like you just see like a pile of mound on the ground. Yeah.
Please continue.
Okay. Yeah, so eventually, so you can either... There's another way to find out this out, but if you help Marina and the support group, she will give you everything she learned about hag, because she wants to defeat the hag, but she doesn't have the power to do so, and will ask you to help her. So basically, long story short, you will eventually craft a elixir that you can then use on Ethel in order to make her disgorge the kid full. Though I have read online of some people just non-lethally attacking Ethel to knock her out and then cut the child out like Red Riding Hood style, bypassing the need for the potion. So, yeah, so Larian Studios has taken that into consideration. I don't know if that's something that people just said on Reddit as a joke, but that's something that you can try.
Okay, do you think that so do you think if I have Shadowheart and I have Shadowheart do command, I don't know how command works yet. I haven't like used it, but if I like do command and I say vomit, or if that's an option, can just vomit the baby up.
Yeah, I think this is something that you can do probably as in the DM run, but for this game, command works as basically. Obviously, it will be hard to take into consideration all the different kind of commands that you can do.
Yeah.
So for this spell, all you have are the ones that's already listed in the spell description. You know, like grovel, drop weapons, that kind of stuff.
You know, I kind of wish that vomit was one of the options just for. Okay. Fair. Okay, so that's one. What are the other two?
Okay, the other two, this one I will be a bit more mum about because I kind of want you to find out for yourself as well. But in Act 3, there is a quest involving beneath the fort that you will eventually... Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the map of Baldur's Gate before, right? You know Worm's Rock Fort?
I have seen the map of Baldur's Gate before, but my brain is a sponge, so not really, but I've seen the map, so probably.
Okay. Yeah, you know the bridge that leads from Rivington to the rest of Baldur's Gate? So there's Rivington, there's a bridge, and then there's like a whole bunch of city that hugs the mountains, and then you have lower city, outer city, and upper city on the other side. So Worm's Rock Fort is that fort built on that bridge.
I mean, yep. Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Okay. So this side quest is sort of tied to Ravengard. So Will, one of the companions that you can recruit, and his father, which of course you know is older Ravengard from the Descent into Avernus book. And so if they will eventually reveal, or rather, older Ravengard will reveal to you about something beneath Worm's Rock Fort, and you can do that quest. And this quest is more of a, I would say it's more of a reveal for something in the game, which this is the one that I don't want to spoil, but yes, you will get a lot of like lore detail. It has implications for Forgotten Realms stuff. When I found out, I was like, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, speaking of that, so what is this game set in like is this canonical? Is this now canonical to like Forgotten Realms lore? Everything that's happening here is it set in the current timeline of Forgotten Realms? Like, what is the vibe happening here? Do you know?
As far as I can tell, it is Forgotten Realms because they do reference things, you know, like figures that we know, you know, like modern Canaan, that kind of people. They do reference like things that have happened, you know, Second Sundering. There's the Blood War as well, you know, in the beginning when you're drifting through all the different realms.
Yeah.
So it is very much Forgotten Realm, but I don't know if it's like the exact timeline, like the main timeline of it. But at the very least, I can say that this is definitely part of the Baldur's Gate story, you know, from the first two games. This is very much the events of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 did happen in the past, and now Baldur's Gate 3. So I will say yes to a certain level because you know different people's tables will be different, but
yeah.
But I will say like in the main line, I will say probably yes.
Okay. And what is your third top side quest?
Oh, this one will be I gotta choose now. I will. Okay. This is not really a cop-out answer, but in Act 3, because they're not really quests, they're encounters that you can stumble upon. In Act 3, there is a certain town, and within that certain town, there are certain individuals in that town that are that serves as mini bosses of this area that you can, optional mini bosses, and of course they are tied to the main story as well if you know read the notes and sort of like gather from context. But those three bosses are my favorite combat encounters in the game because they're just so different, and there are ways that you can basically defeat all three of these bosses without even going into combat if you do it correctly. And when you do it,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, it is really good. Like that is it's my favorite combat encounters. I have one friend who succeeded in defeating all of them without even lifting a weapon, and I was like, damn. I fail all of those rolls. So it's both a combat encounter is the last resort, but it is also a series of skill checks as well to sort of like prey on these bosses' their fatal flaw, I would say, because they become who they are because of their flaw. And if you exploit that flaw in the form of like several skill checks and you succeed on all of them, you will get them to destroy themselves.
Okay, but on the form of several skill checks, that sounds like it's a lot of luck in that, though, right? Because, like...
Yeah, but, so you gotta...
there's only so much you can do.
Yes, so it's one of those where, like, if you don't get it, oh, I guess I fight, but if you do get it, you're like, ah, yeah, that kind of deal.
Gotcha. I mean, I'm in... Hey, question. Okay, thank you for those three. So I've got three questions for you.
All right.
First, when you're going to this playthrough, did you play with karmic dice on or off?
Oh, at the time, I did not know that if karmic dice was a thing, so I don't know if it was on or off.
Okay, super fair. Second, did you romance any of your companions, and if so, who?
Okay, so, you knowing me, I try to flirt with every single person in my party. When I flirt with Asterion, he went, "It's not you, it's me. I have standards." So that was strike one against me.
Wait a minute. When did you do that? Oh my god. Wait a minute. Wait. When you flirted, did you have to do a check? Was there a check about it?
No. Companion romance stuff is dependent on your approval with them.
Okay. So it's not like, because I was going to be like, listen, I've heard good things about fucking that man, and I want to, so okay. I'm gonna have to.
I have seen what happens when you romance him because, I oversee everything at the time that the playtesters do, so I've seen this stuff, and you're spicy. But yes, back on topic. So I talked to Lizelle, and she's like, I like your musk, and what inflames me, and I want to like taste your sweat and stuff. And then it goes, "It is a pity that you have stand against me too much because I keep choosing the good option and Laser keeps disapproving." So she's like, "Know what you have missed out on for not siding with me in all of this encounter. I shall go seek my pleasure elsewhere." And yeah, so Laser was a strike 2 against me.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Okay, so, oh, man. Yeah, because I found Lae'zel at this point, and instead of killing the tieflings, I was just like, I was like, hey, I'll deal with this. I'm a paladin. Fuck. Okay, so I'm gonna have to start doing a little bit of Okay, here's the thing. Because Gale and Shadowheart approved of what I did. I don't care. I don't want to romance either one of those two. Shadowheart's racism at the start of finding her has completely turned me off. Yeah. And Gale, my understanding is you maybe has some issues with polyamory style stuff, and I'm like, I want to be polyamorous with everybody, or at least the ones that I want, obviously.
Yeah.
But yes, please.
Okay.
But please continue. Who else was up?
All right. Yeah. So then I tried to romance Carl. Like, oh, this one is funny because I decided to pick the funny option. So there is a sweet confession scene where you go, "Oh, I'm attracted to you," that kind. Or you have the fuckboy option, and the fuckboy option, the text over there says, "You, me, bed now." So that was the one that I chose, and then Carlite was like, "You, me, friends, got it?" And then that was the end of that.
No, doesn't like a fuck boy.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's strike 3 against me. And then
did you get to fuck any of your companions?
Then eventually I talked to Gale, and I did get a very sweet romance scene with him, but at the time in Act 3 it wasn't completed yet, so I got the isometric DOS 2 top up screen from the top, and then I got to skip, and then I was like, oh. So then they mentioned basically his romance line hasn't been implemented yet, and Gale was a bit broken at the time. Like, chances of your game crashing when you click on him was quite high back in the day. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna reload, and then I'll go try the final option, which was Shadowheart at the time. And Shadowheart's quest was a bit more implemented, so yeah, I got that one. But then her quest wasn't implemented in Act 2 yet. So by the time I reached Act 3, she broke up with me. So I went through the whole thing like alone.
Wow. Okay. Third question: did you fuck a mind flayer?
Okay, so in March, we get to interact with a mind flayer, and there were a couple of scenes that were a bit, shall we say, fruity when I was playing through. And then so we eventually, obviously, as playtesters, we got to talk about our opinions. So we were given like a doc to fill in everything that we feel about the game. And in one of the sections, it's like, is there anything else you would like to mention? And in that part, I put, "Let us fuck mind flayers."
Oh wait, that's right. You told me this. You told me this.
Yeah. Yep.
Are you the reason why we get to fuck mind flayers?
Look, I said that in March.
Are you responsible?
And then in April, one of the playtesters got the scene. Now, obviously, it's probably in part of their pipeline, but I like to say that I am responsible because I mentioned it in March, and then in April they got it.
I'm gonna fuck a mind flayer. I'm gonna fuck a mind flayer, and I'm gonna think about you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Okay. What are some other things that you like maybe noticed that you sent over that might have gotten implemented, regardless of if it was in the pipeline or if it was, or you think it was just you?
I don't know. I will say because like I said, I was meant to play through Dark Urge, and so by the end they basically asked us, "What do you feel about playing Dark Urge? Like what do you like about it? What do you feel could be improved?" And I wrote like a fucking essay. Like just a full, because I really enjoyed Dark Urge, but there was some stuff at the time in March that I didn't really like and felt like more could be done with it. And some of those stuff did eventually show up in the April and May playthrough for some of those that were playing Dark Urge. Now I don't know whether my comment affected it, but I like to think I did. But yeah,
They can't prove that it wasn't you, so I would hold on to that. Do you want to talk about the racism?
yeah, I don't mind. Why not? It's inherent in the game, for better or for worse, so it's got to be addressed at some point.
I mean, you and I have, like, I've mentioned it in the chat and we've talked about it, like, you know, personally, but
Yeah.
also, like, this is a public, and that's your job, so if at any point you're like, okay, I think I'm going to step away from that, totally fine, let me know.
All
Okay, so, yeah, okay. So here's my thing. You play tested this. You played this a lot. And wait, what race did you pick when you were playing?
At the time of March, we were stuck with the default Dark. So Dark Urge is default as a white dragonborn. So that was what I played. I can't
White
customize.
Gotcha. Okay, so then I guess first question, because right now I'm playing a half orc, right? And I know half orcs. Okay, I know tieflings get shit. I know drow get shit. I'm pretty sure Gith will get shit, and I know there's some like weird half orky stuff that I haven't like actually I haven't encountered as in like NPCs are saying shit to me, but I have encountered as in like my gaming options, which I was like, what the fuck is this? Do Dragonborns get the like have to deal with like racial tension and issues and stuff, or is that not the case in this game, as far as you're aware?
I didn't most of the things that I got with NPCs when I talked to them as a Dragonborn is just like, Dragonborn, we don't get many of you around these parts, that kind of deal. It's not like outright like the bad stuff that tieflings get.
Okay, so you were playing Dark Urge, but how familiar are you with the rest of the stuff, like
with Forgotten Realm stuff?
Or I mean, like the specific. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know you're familiar with Forgotten Realm stuff and whatnot, but like specifically the rest of the stuff in this game. So like things the half orcs might go through, the tieflings, the Gith, the drow, etc.
Sadly, not as much because I never got a chance to play through those others. And when I started like doing the coordinator stuff, I never got to play the game again. I just watched people play.
Okay. Okay, super fair. So then I guess a question I have for you. So obviously, even though you're going through the Dark Urge bit, you still have the Mind Flayer in your head. You got to do through that. You go through the whole thing. You released Shadowheart, obviously here. Hey, could I have not released Shadowheart?
Yes, you can.
What happened? Actually, irrelevant to the question I'm asking right now. I will ask about it later. So when we first get to Shadowheart, and obviously we have Lae'zel with us at that point, like right off the bat, she's already like, you can't trust a fucking did that like, because for me, as soon as she did that, right, I was like, oh yeah, no, this is a huge turnoff. I don't give a fuck about you. I appreciate her spells and stuff, and I'm like, because I'm partially playing the game to talk about the racism, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep Shadowheart with me, and I'm gonna add Lae'zel for one of these fuckers that I have, so that we can see like what exactly is going on with that. But like when she did that, did that turn you off on the character? Because right now I'm like, I have her here strictly for like commentary purposes, and when I was talking about not liking her because of that, people in my some people in my Discord community that were in the Twitch stream were like, oh hey, she's got a really tragic backstory, and I was like, okay, see, and I was like, I will try and keep an open mind about her, but I am already, my disposition towards her is already like, no. And if they're trying, and like, I feel like that's going to negatively affect any sympathy they want me to have towards her in her backstory. So like, what were you feeling when she hopped out that fucking thing and immediately was like, I'm going to be a racist?
Okay, so I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you, but Gith is my favorite race in D&D. Like, I love them.
I don't think you have mentioned that to me, but please continue. Yeah. Actually, tell me why.
I like because I think this is a conversation we had before, but I felt that one of the, I would say mistake, not really mistake, like oversight that Wizards of the Coast did when they made Forgotten Realms is that they made the fantasy races too much like people, like not people, like humans. Like they're basically humans with horns, humans with tusks, humans with pointy ears, humans but short. But Gith were the ones that, to me, when I found out about them, are ones that are like completely alien to us. Like their society, their culture is so inherently different from humans or fantasy humans or what have you, that just looking at them and seeing the way they talk, the way they behave, they are just, you know, that they are completely and utterly devoid of what we consider human. Like, they are just so different from us, and I really like that. Like, there is no way that you can just say, Gith, they're just humans, but yellow skin and pointy ears and ride dragons, you know? Like, you can't say that about them. Everything about them is just unique to who they are.
Thank you for telling me that. Now, but please continue with, like, vibes, Shadowheart.
So, yeah,
when she first hops out being a racist.
Yeah, so, like, when she just come out and then she goes that, I was like, oh, excuse me? But then I was also like, okay, within the context of the Forgotten Realm, people don't know about Gith, and at the start of this game, they were attacked by Gith. So she does have some of that distrust will be revealed down the line about why. It involves mind shenanigans, but at that point I was like, But then she's a cleric and I need a cleric, so.
Yeah.
I will say I warmed up to her a bit more like in the later acts. But in Act 1, I'm like,
all right. Yeah, right, like, okay, but did you keep them together? Like, when you continued on your group, was Shadowheart and Lae'zel on, like, in your companions together?
Yeah, my main group for most of Act 1 was Shadowheart, Lae'zel, and Astarion.
No Gale?
At the time, I did have Gale for a bit, but again, the risk of clicking on him accidentally and crashing my game was high.
That's right. That's right, I forgot you said that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like, listen, I am currently having a hard time trying to figure out who am I leaving behind. I don't want it to be Gale, because I like having a wizard.
You can recruit them to your camp.
No. I mean, I know I can recruit them to my camp, but I'm like, why is it only 3? Yeah. Like, listen, why couldn't it be 6 in total? Because I run games with up to 6 players, and I'm like, hey, and the way that I'm playing the game, I can't fucking mod it and get the mod that's like, hey, let you add 18 players or 16 companions, whatever. I would never get that high. That's so many. But I'm sitting over here like, why is it capped off at 4? Like, I get that the standard thing is like, oh, for 4, blah, 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 but like 6, give me 6. But anyway, I like having the hardest time trying to figure out, okay, I want Shadowheart and Lae'zel to be here because I need to watch this interaction, but I need Astarion to be around because I want to romance him, but I need Gale to be around because wizard.
Solution, play as Gale.
Ew, no. Ew, listen, my orc is a black-coated character, and I refuse to play that pasty white man.
Fair enough.
I refuse. But okay, so you did have Lae'zel and Shadowheart together. What were their interactions like, if you recall at all?
Fairly antagonistic, begrudging mutual respect later on, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so obviously there's some underlying racial tension in the antagonism, but like, were the words racially charged, or was it just general antagonism after, like...
I will say it's more general antagonism from that point on. She doesn't really bring up the gift aspect of Lae'zel's character all that much. If I recall, this is back in March, so memory's a bit fuzzy, but... No, most of it is just... distrust, I will say. But other than that, the gift stuff didn't come back. I think maybe once or twice, yes, but not as much.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is, and tell me if I'm wrong, that they keep up their antagonistic relationship, and of course there's the racial prejudice, the racism underneath it, because that's how it started. But they still have an antagonistic relationship that isn't as like overt, like doesn't have like the racial words to it, but they still manage to butt heads without like Shadowheart saying something actually racist.
Yeah, from what I remember. Like their antagonistic, it does come to a hit later on in Act 1. I'm sure you'll stumble upon it at some point. And then save before that. And just putting it out there, but save before that. And yeah.
How am I going to know when it's going to... How do I know when it's coming to a head? How am I going to know to save?
It's going to be when you're taking a long rest. You know when you take a long rest, you go to the nighttime camp, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So just quick save before any time. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay. Man, what was I going to... Fuck me. Oh, God. I just had a question for you. Give me 1 second. Let me think.
No worries.
Oh, okay. Now, totally fine if the answer is no, if like no, this did not come up as part of like the things to mention in here. Totally fine. Like, I get it. But do you know if any of your fellow playtesters at any point like mentioned like hey, maybe the racism is not a great idea?
I think...
I want to reiterate, I'm not going to judge you if the answer is no. I understand it is a position to be in for this kind of thing, so please.
I don't believe so. Wait, I did bring up, like, I would say I would like a bit more. I mentioned in my notes that I would appreciate if there's like a bit more like good goblins and drow in my notes, because and you do stumble upon some of them like in Act 3, but as I was playing through Act 1 and Act 2, most of them are antagonists, so.
Do you know if more were implemented past you saying that? Like, obviously okay, so most of them up until Act 3 are antagonistic.
Now, I would say at Act 1, because in Act 2 and Act 3, at that time, that early stage, I don't know much yet. I was just, that comment I wrote back in Act 1, while I was playing through Act 1, I mean.
Okay, so just so I understand the process here. You were playing through this stuff, and then you gave your notes, but there wasn't an expectation for your notes to be, like, to update in the stuff that you were playing, but it was expected to update, like, potentially the next set of people? Okay, so you would, but in your playthrough, so Act 1, a lot of antagonists, and then part of Act 2, most of Act 3, you meet some non-antagonistic drow and goblins, yeah?
Yes. I mean, as Act 1, there is a friendly hobgoblin that can meet in the Underdark. One of my favorite characters in the game. Like, he was pretty interesting.
Okay.
But yeah, and then but otherwise in Act 1.
I'll keep my eye open for that.
Oh yeah, beware the Underdark, dangerous place.
Oh boy. Of course it's dangerous. Okay. So we've talked a lot about your time as just a playtester. But like, what did you like about being like the playtesting coordinator? Like, what did you miss about like what were the pros and cons? Like joys, pains, the whole.
Yeah, I would say the cons is definitely that I can't play the game anymore. But the pros, I would say, is just the fact that I can watch like a number of, because I usually playtest between like 3 to 5 people at a time. So I have OBS open, I can see all of their screens, and just watching the shenanigans that they get up to is hilarious. And sometimes I'll just watch, and then they'll be like,
okay. No, go. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, occasionally I can just hear one of them go, damn it. And then when I just look at the screen and it's just on fire, I'm like,
What do you think was, if you can recall, wildest, funniest, whatever shenanigan that you saw the other players do?
That would be the Asterian scene. So at some point, okay, I was. Do you mind Asterian spoiler since you said you want to romance him?
How big of a spoiler? Like, is this about potentially him,
No,
you,
no,
or something else?
you know what Asterion is, right?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Of
at
course.
some point in one of the night scene, yeah, right. At some point in the night scene, your character will wake up and you'll see him about to bite you, and then he'll be like, "Oh, shit," and he's like, "Is that what it looks like?" That kind of deal. And then you can choose to either kick him out of the party, stake him to the heart. You can choose to kill him, or you can just go, "You can stay, but don't bite me," or you can go, "Yeah, sure, have at it," and then
Yeah, I know that.
yes.
That's it.
So
Continue,
when you
continue.
choose to have that happen, he will bite into you and start drinking, and then you will get an opportunity to push him off or let him continue. If you choose to push him off, you gotta succeed on a saving throw. Otherwise, he'll continue, and then you get a second one. And if you fail that one, he kills you. Like you straight up die.
But we come back,
Yeah, okay,
right?
so this is what happened. This happened to me as well, and it also happened to this person. So as I was watching it happen, I was like, just looking wide-eyed. And so for me, after that scene, it just the narrator was talking. Eventually, your vision blacks out and you see nothing. And then it goes to the next day, and I'm just lying there on my bedroll in a puddle of blood. And then I just toggle to Shadowheart, walk towards my character's body, revivify, and then I come back to life. And then I go talk to Asterion, and it's like, "Oh, you're up. You were looking a bit ill last night," and then your option over there is like, "Ill? You killed me." And it's like, "Well, yes, but you're up now. Water under the bridge. Let's let bygones be bygones, eh?" That kind of thing.
Okay, but here's a question. If I do allow him to kill me and I'm like, yeah, it's fine, whatever, does that get my approval rating
Oh
up with
yeah,
him?
yeah. If you go, you'd be like, if you want another shot, feel free to tell me. And he's like, "Oh, okay, I'll keep that in mind."
I'm sleeping with a vampire and an illithid and a fired person. I'm sleeping with them
Yeah.
all. Although I will break
Karlach.
Karlach's heart if by the time I get to romance I can't install a polyamorous mod that lets me sleep with her and the mind player later. I'm just going to be like, "Hey, we're breaking up, baby. I'm sorry." Wait, I can break up with them, right? I can just be like, "Hey, I'm
Yeah, you
done
can.
with this." Okay, cool. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna fuck Asterion, and then I'm gonna fuck Garlic, and then if I have to, I will break up so that I can fuck a Mind Flayer, because I don't know if you've seen all of the Mind Flayer fucking on TikTok, but
I've seen a couple.
I'm a Mind Flayer girly, and I'm about to live out my biggest fantasy. And then finally, what's like the kind of pros and cons of what you're doing right now? What's the
fun.
vibes? Like, what are you liking? What do you hate?
This time around, now that I'm doing my temp QA coordinator stuff, in the early, like the first 2 months, I just did not get to play the game at all, and also I don't get to watch the others play as much because they'll be assigning a lot of if each one of them assign me 1 ticket per hour, that's like 7 I have to go through every hour. So all I look at are words and codes now and scripts, words, and then occasionally I do have to like reproduce them so I can open the game, but then I am like using like cheats to jump around all over the place to test stuff, so I don't. Yeah, so yeah, it's still fun because in the course of doing that, I do eventually stumble upon things that I have never seen before, or like permutations to some stuff I've seen before that I never took the path towards, and so I was like, oh damn. But yeah, but other than that, it was just that. But now I get to play the game a bit more.
Oh, excellent. Okay, we're coming to the end of our hour, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
a little bit over it. Is there any other things you would like to talk about this game and in your capacity as a playtester, the playtest coordinator, the temp QA coordinator? Like anything you would like to add before we get to closing remarks and you can replug any of your stuff?
Honestly, I will say that regardless of how the game turns out, I mean, it is quite popular now. But I think that the thing that I like the most, like this is just for me. Now, like me lighting aside the side quest is me as a gamer, but as a dungeon master, someone who likes to run D&D games, my favorite part of it is the changes that they made to some of the combat mechanics that I think I'm going to implement in my own games.
Which ones?
This is
What are we
definitely
talking
the
here?
weapon proficiency. You know, if you're proficient in a weapon, you get to like do the extra stuff. You know, like for great axe, you get to cleave, or brace. Yeah, that is probably my favorite game mechanic of the whole game. I've actually been memorizing it to myself and created a PDF doc of all of the different skills.
Hey, you wanna let me see that and talk, and so I can put it in the show?
Okay, sure. Wait, let me see if I can. I wrote it all up because that's what I basically have the game for right now. I just open the game and I find all of the weapons and then I just will turn it into a homebrewery PDF.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. So it is 11:03 a.m. where you are
Yes.
right now. It's 11:03 p.m. where I am. I'm about to be a little fucker and go play Baldur's Gate for a few hours, so I don't care. But I don't want to like hold you if you have something pressing to go do. Do you have a little bit more time so I can read these and we can talk about them a little bit on the podcast? Or if not, I can just read them. Like I can add it in later, and we can like do
No,
that. then.
I can. I think I still have some time. All right. All right, I just drop it
Sweet.
in. It's still first drafty, but all of the abilities there and the conditions should be correct. I did edit some of them to make it more D&D friendly, but some of them I kept the wording as is. But yeah, this is like when I first saw this when I was in playtesting, I was like, this is amazing. Why doesn't 5e have this?
You know why 5e doesn't have this. The name of the game is
Yeah.
Simplicity, but Okay, so weapon mastery. In base D&D, when you're proficient in a weapon, all you get is to add the proficiency bonus to your attack rolls. This homebrew rule is intended to add a little flavor to weapon proficiencies, and allow you to do more damage with your weapons beyond, and allow you to do more with your weapons beyond just doing damage. Okay, so weapon feature list. Backbreaker. Costs 1 melee weapon attack. Maul, Warhammer, the target takes 1d4 damage and must succeed on a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. Brace, 20 feet of movement. Weapon, dart, glaive, heavy crossbow, lance, longbow, pike. For the rest of your turn, you roll damage die twice and take the highest roll. That makes, okay. I was like wondering to myself, like, that's a wide variety of weapons in there. How do they all have that in common? But that makes sense. The bracing part. Cleave, 1 melee weapon, battle axe, great sword, halberd, up to 3 creatures within 5 feet of each other, and also within melee range of you must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed roll, it takes the weapon's damage. On a success, it takes half. Oh, I love that.
Okay. Yeah, I will say this one is different from how the game. So the way the game implemented is that when you press the cleave and you hit, it makes a attack roll for each character, for each enemy you hit. And if you hit, you deal half damage. If you fail, you did no damage. I changed it to this because I didn't want because in game, obviously, you can just use code just like that. Instantly, it's read. But then for an actual table game, making just 3 rolls feels a bit too clunky. So I just turn it into a saving throw.
No, that makes sense. Concussive smash, 1 melee weapon attack, club, great club, light hammer, mace, flail, morningstar. The target takes the weapon's damage and must succeed on a con save. Con saving throw or be dazed until the end of your next turn. What is dazed in this context?
Yeah, if you scroll to the second page, there is a list of new conditions from the game that I also reworded. Some of that I reworded a bit to be more D&D.
Dazed. The target has disadvantage on wisdom saving throws, can't take reactions, and loses dexterity bonus to their AC. Oh my god! This condition is removed for creature use the help action on the afflicted target. Holy fuck!
Right?
Damn. Okay, to be fair, I was using I do have a daze mechanic that I'm working on right now that was very much like your daze, or this might actually be like something else. I might have grabbed this from somewhere else, but it was very much like and tweaked a little bit. Like, you can only take you can only do your movement or your action on your turn, so you couldn't take your bonus action. And the regular days that I can't remember, the days I might have grabbed this from is probably MCDM Productions days. It was like you also can't take reactions until the start of your next turn. It's like that feels a little that feels like a little excessive for this, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, let's see. Disarming strike, 1 melee weapon, trident. The target takes 1d4 damage and must succeed on a strength saving throw or drop 1 item of your choice that it is holding. Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
Yeah, you know, with the fork just like that, something.
Exactly.
Oh, and I was also like to note that disarm. I mean, I don't know if you experienced it, but disarming is a lot more punishing in Baldur's Gate. So like if you disarm someone, you can still pick up that weapon without expending any action at all, but it will only go to your inventory, it won't go to your hand. In order to do that, it is an action. So it's a lot more punishing when you disarm someone in this game.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way swapping out my weapons. I was like, oh, fuck. Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, Flourish. One bonus action, Rapier, Scimitar, Short Sword, Whip. The target takes 24 bludgeoning damage and must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or become off balance until the end of its next turn. And off balance means the target has disadvantage on strength and dexterity checks, and attack rolls against it have advantage. This condition is removed when the afflicted target takes damage or is helped by another creature. Okay, alright. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Ham, Seam Strike, Shortbow, Longbow, one range weapon attack. The target takes the weapon's damage and must succeed on a con save, or its movement speed is halved until the... Oh, okay. That's a good one. Head Crack, one range weapon, Sling. The target takes the weapon's damage and must succeed on a con save or become dazed until the end of its next turn. If this attack reduces the creature to 0 hit points, it is knocked unconscious instead. What's the fun? Oh, unconscious, so it would wake up in 1d4 hours. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot what the... Heartstopper, one melee weapon attack, Morningstar. The target takes 1d4 damage and must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or be inflicted with chest trauma until the end of its next turn. Chest trauma. The target has disadvantage on con saving throws and loses its action. This condition can be removed if the afflicted target receives healing. Ooh, okay.
Great against mages.
Right? Lacerate, one melee weapon attack, Battle Axe, Glaive, Great Axe, Great Sword, Halberd, Hand Axe, Longsword, Scimitar, Sickle. The target takes the melee weapon damage and must succeed on con saving throw or start bleeding until the next turn. And bleeding, the target takes 2 slashing damage at the start of each of its turns and has disadvantage on con saving throws. Is removed if the afflicted target receives healing. Undead and constructs are immune to this condition. Okay, but what if my undead and constructs have blood?
I guess then they also suffer lacerate, I guess.
Oh man, there's so many. Oh my god. What is your favorite out of all of these?
I think my favorite
Top 3.
I would say Flourish, because as a fan of the swashbuckler, Flourish just lends itself to that playstyle that I like. And another one that I like is
Okay, so top 3 of their weaponless features and top 3 of the new or how many new conditions? There's not a lot of new conditions. So favorite new condition and then top 3 of the weaponless.
Just so that, these are just the ones inflicted by weapon. There are a lot more new conditions in the game.
And you're gonna update this to have those in there at some point? Okay, sweet.
If like the abilities does inflict it, I think that might be a different list because it is a lot. I would say Flourish is one of them. Another one that I really like is Cleave. And I will say for my third one, maybe this is a bit simple, but I just like Topple. Topple. Use a staff to just knock someone off their feet, you know? I just like that so much.
Okay, let's just read this real quick. One melee weapon attack, quarterstaff whip. The target takes 24 damage and must succeed on a dexterity saving throw.
Yeah, it's
knocked prone.
Yeah. Like, you would feel like that's something you can just do with a quarterstaff in the game, but you just don't have any rules for it. So, like, yeah, I like this.
And okay, the damage that they're taking, so is it in addition to the weapon damage, or is it that's the damage you're doing instead of your weapon damage?
Yeah, if I write the damage in the actual ability itself, then that replaces the base damage of the weapon.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, and then favorite new condition?
Favorite new condition, I really like Dazed. Because I just like the idea. I never thought about, loses your dexterity bonus to your AC. And I was like, wait, that's actually kind of cool, if you're like dazed, you won't, because dexterity to your AC basically relates to your ability to dodge, right? So if you're dazed, you can't dodge, so you lose that AC. But if you're wearing heavy armor, you wouldn't need to dodge, So, so dazed, yeah. And then I also really like chest trauma, just because it is something they can just use against mages.
I love it. I was literally about to say chest trauma is my favorite of this new one, and I can't wait to use this on my players.
Yep.
But okay. Nick,
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here. Please tell everybody where they can find you again, any upcoming projects you have that you want people to know about, the whole 9 yards.
All right. Well, hello again, everyone. I am Nick, and as I mentioned earlier, you can find me on all social media as NickSnat1, and that is with a number 1. And you can also find me on Twitch under that same name, where I will occasionally stream games that I run for Nightshade Tavern, a Malaysian-based D&D and TTRPG server meant to make D&D and TTRPGs in general as accessible to new players as possible. So occasionally I will stream the game up for people to watch. So if you're ever in the correct time zone and awake while I'm running the game, feel free to drop by. And as for projects, I don't really have much currently, but I am still playing in a Thirsty Sword Lesbians game for Critical Misses that it was running for a while, but then because of scheduling conflicts, we haven't been playing as much. But we actually usually play at around this same time, but on Saturday instead of Sunday for me. So check out Critical Miss. We are basically doing a fantasy rendition of the Three Musketeers.
Okay, yes, and everything that Nick has just said here, folks, will be in the show notes. Nick, thanks so much for being on here. This was a great talk, and I'll have to have you back on at some point.
Yeah, and happy to be here.
All right, catch you later, loyal fans. We're out of here.